Alright, let's have a look at the trailing stop settings. They're pretty simple and straightforward like the rest of the panel, but there's a couple of little things I'd like to point out. So if I enable a trailing stop, the first thing that you should know is if you use the split money management system, the trailing stop won't kick in until the split money management hits 1-to-1. So there's a condition in there. Until that 1-to-1 trade is hit, the trailing stops are disabled. Once the 1-to-1 is hit, then the trailing stop is free to do its thing. So just keep that in mind. Now we'll turn that off. Let's have a look at a couple of the options here. So trailing stop setting, you've got a few here. Well, I'll walk you through each one. Risk reward trailing stop. So that's going to trail your stop by risk reward factors. So I would recommend a minimum of 2, and I'll tell you why. If you use 1, say okay, you enter a rejection candle trade, okay, you enter on the retracement and your stop is down here, that's one risk reward factor there, 1R factor, and this would that's basically your risk, and that would be plus 1R there in between these two lines, plus 2 whatever. What I'm trying to say here is once your price retraces and triggers your trade, okay, your trade's been triggered, might come down a bit and then it starts to move up. As soon as it starts to move into profit, your stop loss is going to start trailing straight away, because it's always going to be this distance behind your well, whenever price moves this distance away from your stop loss, it will follow it up, okay, by 1 risk factor. So what I recommend is using it by 2. So whenever the market moves 2 risk factors away, it will trail up like that, okay, because if you use 1 risk factor, as soon as the market starts to take off in profit, your stop is going to be right on its tail. It's going to be it's going to choke your trade a lot. It's not going to give it much room to breathe there, and it could stop you out early. I think 2 risk factors is a much better setting for a risk reward trailing stop. You can fiddle around with it on the demo account and you'll see what I mean, but definitely I've set that as the default 2, and I recommend that you at least consider using 2 or more. Now, trail by EMA. So we've got the mean value, and some people like to trail their stops by EMA values. I would recommend, if you're going to do this, trail by the 20 EMA. So it will use the previous candle's EMA value. So if I've got the 20 EMA following up like that, it will, whatever candle you're on at the moment, say we're on here, it would use the previous candle's 20 EMA value, which would be here, so it would trail your stop up to there. Okay, so you basically see your stop trail up along this line like that as the market moved up, and you can set this to whatever you want. And Candlestick Trail is basically trailing up on the highs or down on the lows. So if you're in a long position, it's going to trail up the candlestick highs like that, and then if you were trailing your stop up here, you would have been knocked out, probably. Yes, you would have been knocked out there. Now there's a couple of different options here. Allow trail on inside candles. So by default it won't trail on an inside candle. If an inside candle forms, it won't move the stop. It won't consider it as a data point. So if you turn that on, it will. Allow trail on only trail on the candle close direction. Okay, so I'll put this in. So if you're in a long position, it will only trail on the candles that close, in the positive, close with a bullish body. So yes, it would trail on this candle. Yes, yes, no, yes, yes, yes. See what I mean? So anything that closes bearish, it won't use. But if you're short, it would be the opposite. So the candles would trail down the highs only on the candles that close bearish. So yes, yes, and then this one just slightly closed bullish, so no it wouldn't, and then yes it would trail on that one, and you probably get stopped out around here anyway. So that's the candlestick trail explained. Alright, I was hoping to show you a trailing stop in action. The previous trade setup didn't get moving enough, but I set up another one here on the Aussie New Zealand dollar on the hourly chart at the moment. My initial stop loss was up here, and I set a trailing stop to trail at 3 risk factors, so risk reward trailing by 3. Now what I'm hoping to do is show you how you can change the trailing stop on the fly. I'm going to try and change it so that the trailing stop like the EA will change its method of trailing the stop from risk reward to EMA. I've got a 15 moving average like 15 EMA on the chart now. I'm hoping to switch it to that. So I might just, so I'll see if this works. If I turn it off first, trail by EMA, because we don't want to trail by 3, and then we'll go 15 and then turn it on, and there you go, it just moved. I just had to figure out in my head there why it didn't move the stop down here. It's because the EA is adding the spread onto the EMA, so we're using the previous candle's EMA value plus the spread, which is about right 5 pips or so, 6 or 5 pips. So that's basically just showing how you can change the EMA on the fly. And if I really wanted to, I could on the fly make this, so I change that to 13, and you can see it move down there. So that's how you set up trailing stops.